Yeah.
Like, we work in 13 counties up here. But it's not making a difference. I said, tell me what the other ones.
Yeah. From my colleague Supervisor Holm, your job is to keep us awake and not overburden us with technological items that we don't understand. So
we'll do our best. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Appreciate the opportunity to present the IT budget for 26-27. First of all, I really want to highlight the really good effort that all of my colleagues in IT have done the past year. It's been an amazing accomplishments, so many new pieces of software implemented, so many objectives achieved in a year that's been kind of up and down with certainty. So I really am proud of all the work that my colleagues have done throughout in the IT department and the impact they've made across the county. First up, our overall budget summary. You can see our revenues dipped slightly fiscal year, which we'll talk about a little more in depth. Personnel services are unchanged, staying at 35 FTEs. Our operations and capital expenses, while that does look bad, we'll talk a little more about how we did achieve that 1% reduction and then offset it with some unfortunate opportunities. So for our revenue estimates, most of this revenue is derived from telephone revenue, essentially from chargebacks of telephone revenue. The biggest decrease you see here is because the state has moved to their own telephone system. We previously provided telephones for the courts in the court buildings, but they moved to their own system, so we do see a decrease in that revenue. I would also expect this revenue to adjust significantly in the 27-28 year as we're going to reassess that revenue number based on the WebEx platform. These numbers are based on the previous PBX, so we'll see some bigger changes next year likely as we work with the accounting team to readjust those revenues. The decision package here is around the GovQA platform. The GovQA platform is what we use to facilitate FOIA requests. So whenever a FOIA is received, it goes through GovQA. That is then sent to the appropriate department, and they assess and do their reply to that. We're allowed to charge on those basically for hours rendered, for work rendered. Our suggestion here is that platform does cost about $55,000 a year just for the software. So our suggestion was that the revenues received from that should first go toward offsetting that $55,000 annual cost. And then if we were to exceed revenue beyond that, then that revenue would go back to the departments doing the work. Right now, all that revenue goes directly to the departments, the staffing that does the work, and we'd like to see that change so we can help offset that hard cost of the software itself. Getting into the expenses, our personal services, obviously that's increased just like everyone else's. We haven't seen much in the way of staffing changeover. We'll talk about that in a second. IT hardware, this is an increase based on inflation. I don't know if you've seen the news lately, but RAM and memory have gone up 4 times in the past year. Just in the last 2 months, they've increased 25%. So when those components increase in cost, the hardware we procure, laptops, desktops, telephones, it all goes up in cost. We haven't increased that CIP for that hardware in a number of years. This is really just us catching up to inflation based on that hardware expense to replace those devices that are scattered throughout the county. Next line down, the software maintenance subscription increases. This is an increase that is offset by the further decrease you've seen below. So basically, we saved a significant portion of dollars in the next few line items. The first thing we did was we reallocated that to the software maintenance. Unfortunately, with software nowadays, you don't go buy software and you have a disk and you install it and you own it forever. You subscribe to it, like Netflix or Spotify. So we don't own much software anymore. We're just leasing it. And part of that lease is that every year those costs go up. And the vendor comes to us and says, well, this year it's 8%, this year it's 6%. And we really have very, very little control over that other than not renewing, in which case we no longer have the software. So we're kind of at the whim of those vendors whenever we buy software as a service. We do try to mitigate that as much as we can by building software internally. The more we can build internally, the more we can control those costs. But of course, there are pieces of software we must buy. So this $47,000 increase is reflective of some of the annual increase in that software as a service. The next three lines are our effort at reaching that 1% reduction. The first line is really highlighting the savings realized by WebEx. I know like we've grown when we talk about WebEx, but we are realizing true savings, and we are seeing some operational efficiencies by combining our telephone, meeting, and messaging services in one platform. So there are real dollar savings and efficiency savings to be realized with that WebEx expenditure decrease. That includes things like the retirement of our old telephone lines throughout buildings, the discontinuation of vendor relationships that we needed for those old telephone lines. The elimination of the prior one-time appropriate, this was an invoice for jail Wi-Fi, so we upgraded the Wi-Fi at the jail to facilitate future enhancements, including some really exciting new software that the sheriff is probably going to be talking about to better track inmates and those at the jail and make sure we know exactly where everyone is at all times. But you can't do that without a robust backbone of Wi-Fi throughout the building. But we expended that. We don't need that expenditure any longer. The $39,000 is us, Scott and I, taking a really hard look at the budget and trying to figure out, okay, where can we cut and save? I do want to say that we did our best here. We did also take some of those savings and reallocate some of them to training. So we did actually increase some of our training budget to ensure that our IT staff has the opportunity to upskill and continue to grow their skills, because an IT department that's not growing and maturing and learning is an IT department that's behind. So included in this $39,000 reduction from our various appropriations is an increase in our training budget for our IT staff to make sure we all are ready to go. That remaining $268,000 decision package we'll talk about in a second is the rest of that software as a service maintenance that we're kind of just over a barrel on, and we can talk about more in a second. From our FTE perspective, really a lot of stability in IT. The 2020-21, obviously with COVID and some retirements there, that was a bit of a tough year, but since then it's been very stable. We had a few internal transfers with the social media team. That's really that 3 non-retirements from 22-23 was the transfer of the social media team from IT to the board office. So it really wasn't terminations or resignations, it was truly just transfers internally. So for our CIP, here we're seeing our $500,000 for net new projects each year. So basically we allocate $500,000 to purchase software, to purchase hardware for whatever various IT project is needed or requested by departments across the county. Additionally, we have that $450,000 hardware replacement that we do cycle through every year and pick different departments on a rotating basis to replace hardware. We think it's best to stay on top of that, because otherwise people will tend to either be silent and say not say anything when their device is non-operative or really slow and they're not being as efficient, or they'll be overly communicative about their devices. So we try to keep a regular cadence so we can say, well, you're up next year or the following year, we'll just wait for that device replacement. Obviously we replace devices that are broken or non-functional ad hoc as needed. Copiers, multifunction devices, phone equipment upgrades, just the cost of doing business, right? Copiers break, printers break, phones need replaced. As far as our recent accomplishments, like I said, it was a very busy year in IT. It's always a busy year. I can't lead the way without software anymore. We did protect the Polk County network with Akamai, which is a software solution so that traffic coming to our networks is protected. We also completed the stand-up of Civic Plus, our agenda management software. Our SSCMS, which is partnering with the civil division of the sheriff to accept online payments for garnishments and other types of payments for civil. The community grants program has been enhanced significantly across the board. We've implemented a new attorney collection system. This is an example of, we've implemented it not only for Polk County, but this is an example of us partnering with other counties across Iowa. And we are providing that attorney collection system to them for a nominal cost to cover our hosting fees. But this is an example of that marketplace program where we can better partner and find efficiencies where we can help provide software to those other counties. Fresh Desk is an IT ticketing system. Please submit a ticket for your IT issues. The OpenGov project for Public Works, we did retire EnterGov, which was not meeting our needs, and they were not being super responsive, so we've implemented a new primary solution for the Public Works team, which is OpenGov. The jail Wi-Fi upgrade, like we talked about previously, preparing for great things in the future over at the jail. We did retire a bunch of older databases that were no longer supported by Microsoft to ensure that we have the most up-to-date backend for our data hosting needs and that we're fully protected by Microsoft. And then J.D. Edwards went through a significant upgrade in Q3, Q4 of 2025 and future-proofs us for a number of future enhancements to make things easier and better for the offices that interact with J.D. Edwards, which is our primary accounting system. For opportunities considerations near term, I did have the opportunity in the end of 25 to visit with every department and kind of talk about what are your needs into 2026. I've identified a number of custom software that we're going to be developing for the departments, as well as a number of hardware or purchase solutions. So we've got a really good idea of 26, what's coming our way at the beginning of the year. Just one example is I had a chance to visit with Jill, and we built an OCM, or a contact manager software, that we're releasing today. So we're releasing a software where when residents call, we're better recording who was it, what did they need, and our responses. So we're going to start with the Board of Supervisors today, rolling it out, and then we're going to offer it to other departments as well. If they are receiving consistent communication from residents, this is an easy solution where they can keep track of those communications and make sure that we know exactly who responded, when they responded, what was the response, all that good stuff. So those are really good examples of our custom software development. We are working on the development and rollout of AI policies and procedures. AI is a big topic, obviously, for a number of departments. We want to make sure that we are protecting ourselves first as a county, but also making sure we're equipping our employees with knowledge. Like any tool, you can misuse AI. It can hurt you, just like a jackhammer, right? If you don't know how to use a jackhammer and try to go use it, you're probably going to jackhammer your foot off. Same with AI. You have to know how to use the tool to effectively use it. So that's part of that rollout. And then we are partnering with Human Resources and Compliance for a new training and education platform. That kicked off just this week. So we'll have a brand new compliance and training platform to deliver the necessary annual trainings and one-time trainings, like the AI trainings we just talked about, so employees can feel confident they know what to do and how to do their jobs effectively. We're partnering with every department to identify a trainer or someone that they've designated as a trainer in the department, so we can help build them those trainings. And that can be global, like sexual harassment or HIPAA, or it can be very specific, like how does a universal cashier in the treasurer's office do their job, right? So we are working with departments to build those trainings and better equip our employees into the future with software. For a longer term, we did keep this pretty short term as far as long term is considered, just to make sure we leave room for changes that are coming down the pipe for IT. But we do have a conservation point of sale and rental software procurement coming up. So with Sleepy Hollow, that full redesign, there's a significant request for software to manage that. That's a major effort. So IT is partnering with the conservation team to procure and write that RFP so we get the right software at the right price for conservation. So that's an ongoing project that's going to stretch into the winter of 27 when that new lodge is built and rolled out for Sleepy Hollow. We are working with our software vendors to better predict our budget into the future. As Scott and I stepped into this budget process for the first time, it was very clear we didn't have a good handle on how do we predict into the future what these SaaS platforms are going to do to us. So really one focus is working with these vendors to better understand, okay, do you have a regular increase amount, or is it just you decide every year what the increase is going to be? How do we better plan into the future with IT's budget to make sure that we're not coming to you guys unexpectedly asking for more because Microsoft decided it was a 15% increase this year instead of a 6%. So it's a big focus for us. And then finally, identifying more third-party solutions that we can retire or replace to reduce our subscription overhead. So things like EAM, which is our primary software for our general services team, we're going to be writing that in-house. Instead of buying the software, we are going to write that in-house to save money on that software as a subscription. It's always a delicate balance because if we overwork the devs, that's a problem, but if we procure too much software from vendors, then our costs explode. So it's finding that tricky balance between writing and purchasing that software as we go through it. And like I said, the biggest item here is that $268,000 decision package, and that really is designed just to pay our bills. That is a realistic estimate of, based on that software, primary offenders being Microsoft, are things like WebEx, are things like UKG. They have just increased costs annually. They follow inflation and then some, and so our costs just can't keep up. So we do have to procure more money to pay those bills. Frank?
My recommendation is to approve their base target. I did not want to approve the GovQA revenue. My preference is to correlate those dollars with the actual staff time that it takes. So I think that should remain within the department and that staff member, because we're charging, let's say, a constituent or whoever makes the request. So I think it just, accounting-wise, makes more sense to keep it correlated there rather than to offset a software hardware cost. The bottom line's no different for us. And then I recommend approving the software maintenance. That's to trend. Those are based on actual expenses, with the caveat that, as you know, we're underwent an IT assessment. And so we should be meeting very soon. It just kept getting delayed, like a lot of IT things do. But we'll be meeting with the consultant who did the IT assessment, and we'll see what those recommendations are for you. If there's an opportunity to collaborate, for instance, with the city of Des Moines, some type of hybrid model where we're doing some custom things inside, buying some things off the shelf, I don't know what that'll look like. There could be some additional costs that are recommended just to enhance our cybersecurity, for example. But our IT department has done a great job, did a great job working through this budget process with it. So for the most part, I do approve as presented.
Questions for IT from the board? Any comments? I do have a comment. Adam, first of all, I wanted to thank you for the work you did at helping us move things along in terms of Civic Plus. That was a big lift, and we did it in 6 months. And as a result, all of our meetings are noticed properly with the attachments out there for the public, and that's, to me, that's a real move forward. Just looking at our budgeting process, again, having everything online, from a transparency and accountability standpoint, we appreciate the work you did and that went into moving that whole process forward. For us, I think it's modernized us and made us more efficient. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next, I think we're going to hear from our Polk County Sheriff, Kevin Schneider, and his team.
Yep. It's not, yeah. I think it has to do with the clicker, the use of the clicker.
Heat up. I assume we're a little bit breezy in here.
Yeah. Morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, supervisors. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time that you've allowed us here today. And if there's any IT glitches, they're right here to take care of us, and it's not my fault. But we'll get started. First, I want to start off with this beautiful picture of this building, which is an investment that Polk County has made in the sheriff's office and in the county. And an investment I'll explain to you as we go through, but the investment continues to pay off for the county, the board, and the sheriff's office as well. So up here is just a couple of the things that we do. Upper left-hand corner is the VERTA training that you see, where we see that our officers are well-trained in as far as de-escalation, officers involved shootings, and so forth. So hopefully they're able to talk their way out of situations instead of end up in bad situations, as we see all over the news right now. We have the community outreach up there as one of the kids dressing up as a deputy on the candy crawl. As you can see, we're in the next picture to the right, we're increasing our customer base at the jail, booking one in there. Another picture is the Honor Guard, which the Honor Guard has become very, I'd say, well-known / famous in the Midwest area. They do such a great job. We send them and get them trained at the military base up in Wisconsin. A couple of our instructors were former military guys, and they do a great job with it and continue to do it, and they get requests from all over. That one there happens to be Special Olympics State Celebration up in Ames. Our deputy with his canine partner, a dispatch to the next right, a cadet riding patrol with one of the deputies, and one of the deputies doing some courtroom testimony. Our school resource officer at Sadell, Brittany's done a great job over there. It has really expanded the program there. She's helped a lot with Shop with a Cop. We got some folks going that are very, I should say, underwhelmed in their personal life, and we were able to make some nice things happen for those folks. And then our property intake over at the jail, where our service aide is inventorying and sealing property at the jail, which has cut down a lot of our expenses as far as losses go. And then one of our cooks dealing with one of the staff members, where we prepare over 3,000 meals a day at the jail. So just a couple of the highlights that we got going, and then most of you see the news, we got some other highlights that are coming down the pike, whether we want them or not. So I'm gonna turn over the exciting stuff to Curtis and let him talk about the money.
Good morning, Curtis Pion, Business Manager with the Sheriff's Office. We'll just start at the top with the revenue. We're up almost 2% year over year, 25.6 million. Our expenses up 4.3%. As you can see, most of that's in personal services. So we have 558.3 FTEs. That includes a request for 3 new deputy sheriffs. It includes 10.33 part-time FTEs, and additionally, we have 6 side-by-sides. Our operations next year at 22.2 million, wanted to call out 2 specific things for you there. Our jail medical contract and food costs alone are $12.8 million. So that's over 57% of that operational cost in just those 2 items. Our 26-27 net tax or balance utilization is 75%. Our 4-year average is 76%. And as you can see there, total expense 102, just under 102 million. And our resource allocation reduction goal was 640,000 in Fund 1. The revenue estimate for next year, up $454,000. As you can see, a significant portion of that relates to contract law enforcement and communications. On our contract law enforcement side, we have increases to our base contracts that are going up with Grimes and Bondurant. And then additionally on the communication cost sharing, our increase is going up to 29%, goes up 2% annually. We started at 25. On the school resource officer and animal control contract extensions that we have out with the cities and the schools, we've revised the cost allocations there, so we've updated personal services, the benefits, the insurance, the IPERS, and those sorts of things, as well as updating our equipment and depreciation costs. The school resource officers, we would continue the annual increases that are already in the existing contracts. We would continue that on track with those groups. And then the animal control, we're proposing to cost share 60%, up from 50% that we are currently at. All of those proposals are out with those entities for their board's consideration during their budget work as well. The next one, decrease, very significant for us, the Jail Telecommunications Commission. For quite some time, the FCC has been discussing and working on new rules. And this is a rate cap set on commissions for phone and for video calls and video visitation. I got a few numbers here from our team. We average 827,000 call minutes per month. We average 167,000 free call minutes per month. And we average roughly 71,000 video visitation minutes per month. Now our phone commission has been set at 11.5 cents per minute, and the video was set at 12 cents per minute. Both of those are going by FCC rule to 2 cents per minute. The rule went into effect in December, and we have to be compliant in April. The next line of the slide relates to miscellaneous adjustments, primarily relates to weapons permits. We continue to see decreases in the amount of activity, folks coming in the front door, getting permits to acquire and permits to carry. And then we've also seen a slight decrease in the service of warrants. The final item will be covering up in the decision packages. The expense increase compared to the current budget's $4.2 million. As you can see in that top line, most of it relates to personal services at $3.8 million. The jail medical contract inflation, $373,000. Do want to let you know that that total contract in next year is $9.7 million. Elimination of prior year funding for the school radio amplifiers, $700,000. That project's well underway. Many schools are completed. Planning and process and work and orders and stuff are worked out for the next, and we expect that to be done this summer. It's going well. Miscellaneous adjustments, including travel, training, education, the jail food, and some contract services, cut of $113,000. Roughly $50,000 of that relates to EFR, substance abuse evaluations that we're not now paying for. The other piece of that on the training side is by being able to host trainings in our facility, we're not paying hotel, flights, per diems, and those sorts of things, so we're seeing a significant reduction there across the office. Then additionally, when we host trainings, we get free seats, or we get discounted seats, or in some cases, we get both. So we'll look to see that continue. Reduction of $59,000 is the next line. One-time appropriation for supplies and grant expense. Tactical vests, rifles, optics for that. That was sort of a one-time thing that we took care of there. And then the grants were a one-time grant from Prairie Meadows, and then a group called Our Rescue, which was for some software and CID.
So remember at the beginning when I said your investment in that building, your investment's paying off there by the reduced training costs and keeping our folks well-trained, not cutting any training, actually increasing training, but able to save the money by doing it here in-house and having people come here, and we get to host all those folks and pay for some of our costs there. So kudos to you.
I believe I walked in on some training this morning.
I bet you did.
At the office.
I think there was a little advanced accident investigation going on there this week. It's a 2-week school, which we have several people in with minimal costs. It cost us a lot to send them away.
Yep.
Our next line on the slide is a net zero impact, but it is how we are making our target in Fund 1. And it's the reallocation of jail and detention expenditures between Fund 1 and Fund 2. Myself and my team, we completed a thorough review of all of the jail and detention operations and all of the expenses from salaries, supplies, services, looking at out-of-county housing costs, medical costs. Did significant research into the regulations regarding the use of Fund 1 and Fund 2. Our goal is to ensure that we have proper alignment of all expenses between these two funds. We've developed a method to determine the costs for holding inmates temporarily detained and in custody awaiting trial, and that's sort of a key thing to focus in on there. Worked with county attorney staff, auditor staff, and board staff. Certainly want to mention Joellen and Deb and Dominic. Very much appreciative of the time, effort, and energy those folks went into vetting my idea and helping us work through the process. So, and in this request, the allocations that are being made from Fund 1 to Fund 2 are to the extent needed for us to meet the target, and nothing more than that. Decision packages are coming up. Our revenue estimate, $454,000. Wait a minute, I already did that one, right? Went the wrong way on the clicker. Here we go. Risk management on a first decision package for your consideration. An increase of $89,000 relates to 3 things. We use Police Legal Services as an online training tool, provides our staff with legal updates related to case law and code and operational standards. Secondly, as the sheriff mentioned, the virtual training simulator, we would be continuing that. It's used for the required de-escalation training of our staff, as well as provides us a means for scenario-based decision-making for all of our staff members. The third item in that is the Axon contract. So we have annual contract increases with them, and that is for the tasers, the in-car cameras, the body cameras, and then the associated licensing that go with all of those 3 items. $143,000 requesting to move from Fund 1 to Fund 3, and that is for us to align our expenses again with county's efforts to reduce overall legal and insurance risk. That 143 relates to personal protective equipment. So masks, gloves, and the Tyvek suits that are issued to certain staff, all of those are issued to reduce risk, mitigate exposures, and limit our potential workers' compensation claims. Jail food, we've completed an analysis there, and we've identified $100,000 in savings. We are looking to optimize our menu and the items that are used to provide the meals, replacing higher costs with lower cost items, but yet we're still able to maintain the nutritional standards required by Iowa law and our accreditation standards. And then potential revenue, wanted to bring this to the board's attention in light of our $640,000 target. $142,000 is $3.75 per meal per person for those meals that we provide to Bridges in the west wing of the jail. So we wanted to bring that forward to you. Those are our costs from the milk, the food, the containers, et cetera. So we wanted to bring that forward for consideration and your awareness. Grimes Law Enforcement Contract, 3 additional FTEs requested here, deputy sheriffs. Our team completed an analysis of all of the Grimes Law Enforcement activity, calls for service. We currently have 2 deputies on duty in Grimes 24/7, 365. Our analysis shows a need for that number to be 3. The sheriff and myself, we went to a planning session with Grimes City leadership. They're not yet in a position to make that big of a jump, but they do believe they're in a position to add 3 FTEs, so we would add 1 per shift. It would not quite get them to 3 24/7, but we would add 1 per shift, and it will help with the workloads. That is a cost of $803,000, offset with $681,000 in revenue. Our proposal is to leave them at 94% in 26-27, which is what is in the current contract that we have executed with them. Of those expenses, there's $402,000 of one-time expense. And so we were able to polish off this presentation here, an idea that's been kicked around for a few years, but it gives you an idea of the first year deputy costs in total of $262,000. So that's salary, benefits, the training at ILEA, but then 2 significant portions there are the vehicle and the equipment then that is issued to the deputy. So between vehicle and everything that goes in the vehicle and the equipment issued to the officer, we're looking at $134,000. The proposal is with the city, and the goal that is written into the contract proposal is that in 2 years, they would then make the jump to 3 deputies, 24/7, 365. So at that point, we'd be coming back with another decision package, and all these things are pending negotiation with the city.
And they're also possibly contemplating, they'd like to have a supervisor out there all the time, a sergeant assigned to Grimes. And when we gave them those numbers, it's something that they couldn't really financially do. So we will be able to absorb the duties of that. So that will be coming down the road in the future as well.
The analyst position that we're requesting here, $99,000, relates to having a staffer be able to support all of the requests for information, development of reports and analysis of our CAD, our RMS, and our JMS information. Our subscriber agreement partners have asked for those things. FOIA requests continue to increase, and our analyst staff are always involved in those. And then additionally, this position would support our criminal investigations division and the work of our current analysts there with the electronic devices. And that would be offset in the current year with the reduction of a vehicle impound clerk. And then moving forward, there would be a portion that we would recommend be offset by the subscriber agreements as we are able to provide our partners with information and analysis and support related to CAD and RMS calls for service that are for those jurisdictions.
And this morning, that those of you that were at CJCC right before we came here, you noticed there was a human trafficking victim in the jail being controlled by her trafficker. That information is only able to be obtained if we have analysts who can take the time to do it, to find it, and go through all those phone calls and files. So that is something that's really huge. We're seeing it, you know, as we're all seeing cybercrime, we're all seeing a bunch of that, and we all probably have gotten the call that you owe bail money, or you owe a parking ticket, or you need to send me a Walmart gift card. So that's where we would really push our analysts to do more and dig in more, and we'll touch more on it as we get along, but we'll talk about some of the analysts that we have working in the CID. So this person would be covering many, many areas in the analytic department, so.
Our final decision package for your consideration is probably one that you'll see every year. It relates to postage. Postmaster General keeps raising those rates, and we pass those through as a fee to the folks who use our civil division. And so it is a complete offset and expense and revenue with pass-through fees. Our full-time positions in 24-25, we had 543 full-timers. We had 13 retirements and 28 non-retirements, so 5.2% were the non-retirements. But an important number of that is in that 28, 23 of those were detention officers. And that equates to a 10% turnover of our detention officer staff.
Which seems like a lot, but you look back at the last couple of years, it was much higher, closer to 20%. So we're doing the right thing. Polk County is keeping their employees longer, and the folks are realizing that a career at the jail is a career and are staying, but there's still a tough job and a lot of turnover and mental stress that goes with that. So some of the recent accomplishments that we've had for 25 and 26, $981,000 in grant funding. If you look at the small portion up there would be traffic safety with the Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau. We're out there writing tickets that everybody likes with the no seatbelt, trying to make the community a safer place for people in Polk County to be. We have the inmate services, which is the WARN program, which is welcome, and the resource notification. It's basically if you take the folks out of prison, out of jail, and you throw them back in the same environment that they came from with no money in their pocket, no place to live, they're going to do the same thing they did that got them in jail first. So we've hooked them up with folks from St. Vincent de Paul that we've partnered with, people that are willing to give them jobs even though they have a criminal history. And so we've helped them find a place to live, help them get employed and make good money, and hopefully they'll cut down on the revolving door at the Polk County Jail. So also our drug enforcement team, which we have one of the best, I'd say, drug enforcement task force in the Midwest. I believe right now there's 18 different agencies that are part of that, and they do work just drugs, the human trafficking aspect. They're continually busy. I know we've worked several of the massage parlors here in the last year, and unfortunately one was in my neighborhood, and so I'm glad to get those out and move those forward. But as this continues, they just move and relocate, and you got to hear today how a lot of them, unless they go to federal court, they have really it's just a cost of doing business for them. So we continue to do that and get as many grants as we can for that. So the jail lobby service and the kiosk, we were able to partner with Polk County General Services. They built a kiosk out there with help from the construction crew and finances and staffing from the St. Vincent de Paul to help people when they get out of jail so they can go up there, get some of the resources that they may need right as they get out of jail. And that's been a good program and continues to move forward. United States Marshal Service, we do house federal inmates, and we did raise the per diem quite a bit, quite significantly, to help offset some of the costs of what it's costing for food and staffing now. So that's been a good increase for us as well. And the Axon body camera replacement was completed per their contract. The 911 phone system, we transitioned with the state shared services and shared their costs and saved some money on having a shared system in the dispatch center. The fingerprint processing desk in the Sallyport, we were able to acquire another computerized fingerprint processor, and then with General Services again, help build a workstation for that. And that way the agencies that are bringing in their inmates that need to be fingerprinted and they haven't done so, will hopefully get that done in the jail Sallyport so they don't have to bring them back to jail and rearrest them again just to fingerprint them. So we're working hard on that with all of our partner agencies. The CID, the criminal analyst that I talked about a little bit, training and software funding. Kevin Hughes, I like to give him a shout out every time I can. He's probably one of the best criminal analysts in the Midwest. And because he is, he is one of the only ones that partners with the United States Secret Service out of Kansas City. And he does a lot of phone stuff, does a lot of any big case or task force that's going on. Most of them come to Kevin to find out anything we can as far as cyber crimes, so forth. And he's helped recover millions of dollars on some of these cryptocurrency scams that happen throughout the Midwest, and unfortunately happen a lot more than we even want to realize here in Polk County. So in the third consecutive year, he's been #1 in the Midwest region. And because of that, we've gotten some equipment from the Secret Service and also from the folks that provide the equipment to the Secret Service. And we're able to increase our abilities with the cyber crimes and intel analysts. He helped work a case that was a fold phone that was recovered in the dirt and the mud. He bought a battery for it, put it together, was able to download more information where this gentleman was convicted of murder on a cold case file. So that was kind of a neat thing to see happen, because you hear about it, but when you see it happen, it's a whole different feeling. So. Then the Sheriff's Office patrol investigations, just to give you an idea of what we do, and we are busy. We had 63,000 trips last year, 14,000 traffic stops, 2,200 arrests, and 1,100 accident investigations. And what's very alarming is out of those 1,100, 14 of them were fatal accidents. So that's one of the reasons we're trying to increase our Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau and move forward as far as increasing traffic enforcement. Another idea, or I should say, another opportunity that we have is the community events. I have 4 people that are in a community relations division, could use 10. 332 events they participated in last year. And those are usually, day long. So there's almost one per day that they're out there doing. And I know some of you have been to some of them in your districts and been to the things like Shop with a Cop. And so they do a great job, and the Polk County Sheriff's Office is becoming real well known out there as far as a leader in law enforcement and community involvement. Courthouse had 1,400 arrests. 225 weapons were confiscated out of the courthouse on people coming in that forgot they had their knives or their whatever they may have had. So they were recovered and kept the courthouse safe. So total calls for service at dispatch and communications, 257,000. 911 calls, 61,000. Non-emergency calls, 149,000. There's a facility, I've done pretty much every job in the sheriff's office. I was never a dispatcher, and thank God I wasn't, because I couldn't do it. Those folks are under a lot of stress. You're sitting there, you're the first point of contact for somebody who's in crisis. They do a great job, and they are extremely busy. So then we come to our jail. Average population, 1,145 people a day. Booking 16,000, almost 17,000 in and 17,000 out a year. Volunteer hours, those are what the folks that come to help volunteer with the chaplain, with the education, people that are teaching classes in there. So those are free hours that we get from folks, and it's made a difference. And it's like almost 3,000 hours. Nurse sick calls, and sometimes I think it's my staff, but it's actually the inmates. 65 a day inmates see the nursing staff. 65, that's a ton. That doesn't include the ones that get sent out to the hospital, get ones that sent out for testing, x-rays, whatever they have to do, that get sent, all those that get sent to Iowa City for special procedures, and we have those every day. So meals served, you saw how much it costs for meals, 1,268,000. That's over 3,000 a day. That's a lot of meals that we provide for folks, and we do it very economical, and we do it within the constraints of the nutritional standards from the state. The civil division, clients served, we did 4,100 cases, 49,000. Papers served, 61,000. And we netted a revenue of $4 million back to the county. Huge. Again, we couldn't have done that without, as you heard, IT partnering with us to make it even more smooth transition. So it helps us collect the money, helps us serve papers online, and so it's great to have those partnerships within the county. So give a hats off to the IT folks, even though I want it done yesterday. They do a pretty good job of getting it done. So near-term things, of course, we just talked about the Grimes Law Enforcement, the amended proposal for increase of services. The school resource officers, contract extension proposals for the continued services there. Dallas Center, Grimes, Bondurant, Farrar, and Saydell districts. North Polk is still there, and their contract is current and won't need to be renewed for a while. Animal control services and contract extension proposals there that we touched on. So we're doing Altoona, Clive, Mitchellville, Pleasant Hill, Polk City, Runnels, Urbandale, Windsor Heights, and basically it sounds like we're doing everything but Des Moines. And Johnston had conversation with me this morning about taking over theirs as well, maybe. So property and evidence software upgrade project is well underway, should be completed here in March. The CAD system upgrade with the city of Des Moines, we're hoping it'll be done in April of '26. Never know when it comes to those big projects. And the emergency fire dispatch system implementation, we're training all the trainers and all the dispatchers so that they're on the same process and they go through the emergency fire dispatch checklist so everything is the same for the firefighters. The school radio amplifier project, as Curtis touched on, it should be done by the summer of '26, something that we've been working on for the last year or so. Communications center radio tower replacement. I hate to say it, but I'm the only one that remembers when that tower was built in 1978. But it's past its life cycle. We're using what we have left of our 911 funds to rebuild that tower, and hopefully it'll be up and done by the summer as well. The training simulator continuation. So we have reached out. We do partner with Prairie Meadows a lot on the training their officers and training them. So we're reaching out to putting them into the Vertra. They have some of their own equipment. So hopefully we can work out a shared expense there, and they can help as well on that particular issue. So then the jail management system, the contract extension, which will come due here, which is normal business. And then we'd like to look at potential facial recognition, which I think is nowadays pretty simple. So the software will have handheld mobile devices, and somebody comes in and said, no, I'm John Smith. No, you're really Mark Thompson. You put it in there, it'll identify them quickly and easily, and that's being done all around the country. So as you know, once in a while, one of them slips out under a false name, and we have to go chase those folks down. So. Long-term, the Iowa Law Enforcement Accreditation Program, we will be one of the very few that are accredited in Iowa. We're currently working on that. We're well over halfway through it, and an accreditation program is quite an extensive group of going through all of our policies and procedures and making sure that we're current, up-to-date, and using best practices. Firing range out there at patrol headquarters, we're working with General Services and our staff at the field headquarters with Curtis's folks and project managers. And our goal is to keep our range in the same facility, keep it safe, make it safe for the neighbors and less noisy. So we've come up with some options that are being done around the country where we can use the land that we have and some of the equipment that we have and keep our facility right there readily available for our folks in training. In the communications center, we always have some upgrades there. Most of you know, or if you don't, you will. Potential subscriber agreements with Westcom agency. Westcom has asked us to see about partnering with them or them coming on board on our system, and we're working through the numbers there, which takes a while. It's not just as easy as putting up a new tower here or there and then turning it on and you're ready to go. So we've done a lot of extensive work and should have that ready here soon to give you an idea of what we're talking about costs and what those folks in those cities know what they're talking about costs. So life cycle replacements, we got the portable mobiles and desktop radios are at the ends of their life cycle. They're like the computer, the IT, they're good for so long, and then they need to do an upgrade. And the same with dispatch and dispatch furniture. Those chairs and dispatch are sat in 24/7, 365 days a year, so they don't hold up as well as they should. So some of those things are things that we have to replace on a regular basis. And we will continue hosting national and regional and local training here in our facility that Polk County built for us, and saving costs to everybody and bringing folks into our community to see what a great community that we have. And I can tell you most of the folks that I meet with are very impressed with our with our facility that they come and visit. So the design team did a good job. Polk County did a good job of making it happen. So thank you for that.
Frank, County Administrator recommendations?
Yes, sir. So a lot of credit to the sheriff and his staff. The one thing I don't always love about across-the-board cuts is they're not always equitable, and 1% is a bigger number for the sheriff's office, but they did comply with that reduction, so I would approve their base target, as well as the risk management and the food. The Grimes, the impact there shows 803, but really it's about 130,000 net impact. So Grimes does a really good job of funding the majority of that contract, so I would approve that. I did not approve the request for the analyst position at this time. I think I just need some more information, and I've been trying to be consistent on not approving new FTEs, and really with a focus on one-time expenses and not those expenses that are in perpetuity, just to make our budget more sustainable. The postage is offset by revenue, so I approved that. And then the vehicle impound clerk, I'm recommending removing that. If you remember, through the towing contract, we were able to negotiate some service there to eliminate the need for that vehicle impound clerk. So I think that's a good cost-saving opportunity. Otherwise, I approve it as presented and give a lot of credit. What you guys don't see is the sheriff is everywhere all the time representing you and Polk County. He's a member of the National Sheriff's Association, Major County Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police. He has been recognized nationwide. And I obviously I'm biased, but believe he is the best and hardest working sheriff in this country.
Appreciate that.
Questions from board at this time?
I have a question, because I have another community that we're working on a contract with. Again, we can't actually sign anything for a while, but
Can
it is on.
can you speak a little more towards it?
Sorry, we have a community that we're looking at contracting sheriff's service with. I don't see that in there. Would that be because we don't have a signed contract yet, or hopefully by the time we do the budget, we will, and then the numbers will be adjusted?
Correct. So this budget would have been prepared prior to some of those events occurring. That is something, if we were able to move quickly with that community, we could add that on. We could amend the budget in this current fiscal year, and then even after certification, we could adjust it accordingly. So we can make that work, even though it wasn't presented here today. In addition to that, the mobile integrated health that you're working on, that is something that may fall under the purview of the sheriff, so that is another thing. So I would say this budget still could have some amendments before we finally certify the budget.
Thank you.
This is actually one of the budgets that does change frequently because of its size and scope and the communities that you serve. You know, I just wanted to say I'm very appreciative of the fact that the sheriff has been very deliberate and intentional with the efforts to reduce recidivism in our jail. I commend your partnership with St. Vincent de Paul, your efforts at trying to line up employment and also making sure people are leaving jail, having had mental health evaluations and with medication that they need to go on the outside. And I appreciate all the costs that goes into that. But again, as you said, if we can stop the revolving door, that's a big piece of what we do, and I appreciate all your efforts in that as well. It's not unnoticed, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your budget.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll take a break here and come back in a few minutes for a regular board meeting.